A huge storm is coming to the United States next week, and this is going to bring a bunch of different problems, including the risk of severe weather, the return of some snowfall, high winds to much of the United States, and as well as the threat for flooding rainfall. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning, and we actually have a pretty large storm right now that is moving into the Great Plains. The good news is that this is not going to be bringing really much of any severe weather, and generally speaking, this storm is nowhere near the size of what we just dealt with over the last few days, but there will be some showers and thunderstorms as we head into tomorrow and Sunday across the southern plains in the southeast. There will be a low-end risk for severe weather, and we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. This has actually been bringing some snowfall to areas like Nebraska and Iowa over the last 24 hours, and by the way, let me know in the comments down below how much snow you've seen up there here over the last 24 hours. Many areas in Iowa are in a big snow drought right now. And then back over on the west coast, it's been relatively quiet over the last few days, but it's going to get very active as we go into next week. One area that's actually been active is Southern California. We had a couple areas of rotation near San Diego last night, very close to being something that could have been tornado warned. The weather is going to be changing a lot over the next several days. Right now in our jet stream, we have a very zonal flow across most of the United States. That's actually why our weather is a little bit quieter today, aside from areas like Nebraska and Iowa, where we've actually had some snow over the last 24 hours. As we go into tomorrow and Sunday, we will have a storm system that's going to move over the Rockies and actually move into the southern plains. This is going to bring the threat for some showers and thunderstorms, and there's actually a sneaky snow setup that is going to occur in Texas and Oklahoma. Yes, we are in March, and there's a chance for snow in both Texas, Oklahoma, and maybe even Arkansas as we go into Saturday and Sunday. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. As we go into late Sunday and into Monday, that'll move into the southeast. There will be some more showers and storms over in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Risk of severe weather is relatively low, but going into next week, we are anticipating the weather pattern to stay a little quiet on Monday and Tuesday. There will be a small storm that moves across the Great Plains as we go into Wednesday. This does not appear as if it's going to be a big severe weather maker, but there could be some isolated severe storms in addition to showers and thunderstorms in areas like the Ohio Valley and the southeast. Eventually, as we go into Thursday and into Friday, that is when we're expecting a large storm system to eject from the west coast over the Rocky Mountains and then eventually moving into the Great Plains. This is going to bring some significant weather Wednesday and Thursday to the west coast, and then by the time we go into Friday, this is also going to bring some relatively significant weather to parts of the Great Plains. I'm not saying we're going to see a severe weather outbreak or a tornado outbreak, that we don't yet know, but there will be some high winds and there will be plenty of showers and thunderstorms across a large area on Friday and Saturday as an intense trough will be moving across this region. Pressure right now is forecasted to be even lower than the trough we just saw only a couple of days ago. By the way, that trough we just saw a couple days ago broke barometric pressure records for the month of March, so this one could actually be stronger than that and break even more records on top of that. With all things considered, this storm system is going to cause some big problems. I think the main one that everybody is going to feel is the high winds, but there could also be some severe weather and snow for some parts of the United States, and we'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. We're going to begin by talking about this storm system that is moving through the southern plains and southeast this weekend. As we go into tomorrow, there will be some showers and even some snow showers across Texas and Oklahoma. This is what it looks like around lunchtime. A little bit of snow in the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and New Mexico. And this really small batch of snow will move into central Oklahoma as we go into late Saturday night. Now, I'm not anticipating accumulation because the temperatures are just going to be well above, freezing for many of these areas at the surface, but some snowflakes will reach the ground while rain and sleet are falling, which will end up leading to maybe a few snow flurries, perhaps a dusting on elevated surfaces back over in central and western Oklahoma. Even parts of North Texas could see that, and then by the time we go into Sunday, a little bit of snow maybe in parts of Arkansas, but again, we're not anticipating accumulation over there. There will also be a low risk for severe weather as we go into late Saturday afternoon and evening, mainly from East Texas back into Louisiana. Low chance of a tornado, mainly going to be a wind threat in these areas. And there will be no fun in the southeast as we are not forecasting snow. Instead, there's actually a low risk for a tornado as we go into Sunday. The main concern will really be here in the Florida Panhandle, back over near Tallahassee and southern Georgia. As we go into Sunday morning and even into the afternoon hours, it's a very low risk. This will actually carry over near Jacksonville and northern Florida as we go into the late afternoon and early evening, and then we're done with this tornado risk. It's a very low-end risk. We're not talking about a tornado outbreak or anything, but there could be an isolated tornado or maybe two back over in those areas. So as we go into Sunday morning, showers and thunderstorms are really filling in across the southeast, and then by the evening hours, it will continue in the Carolinas, Georgia, and back into into Florida before eventually Monday we have a small batch of showers and storms moving in central and southern Florida. And the only thing that'll be left over are just some showers across areas like South Carolina, North Carolina, and East Georgia as we go into Monday night. And then we're done with this as we go into Tuesday. Now let's talk more about this big storm that'll be coming to the United States next week. This what again looks like this weekend. Some showers and thunderstorms in the southern plains in the southeast. We'll have a small little Alberta clipper moving through Canada as we go into late Sunday and Monday. This will bring some light snow to the northeast, and we'll have yet again another one as we go into Monday night and Tuesday. This will be mainly north of the Midwest, but some areas in the Midwest and the northern plains will feel a small shot of cold air as we go into Tuesday, mainly because this is going to be a pretty strong low pressure system, which is going to intensify the winds across the Midwest and the northern plains. By the time we go into Wednesday, things are again really quiet for most of the country. There's not really going to be much happening between Monday and Wednesday unless you're back over in Canada. We will have a little storm system forming as we go into Wednesday night. Again, this can be a relatively small storm, but I could see us seeing at least a low-end risk for severe weather in the lower Mississippi River Valley as we go into Wednesday. By the time we go into Thursday, that storm is going to be really fizzling out in the southeast, and then this is when we're going to be talking about a huge storm system along the west coast of the United States. Notice how much rain and snow is going to be falling as we go into Wednesday morning back over in Oregon, California, and Washington, and also a lot of snowfall back over in the higher elevations of the Rockies and the Sierra Nevada on both Wednesday and Thursday. This is going to be a beast of a storm, I think, as we go into Friday. We have a really strong low pressure system currently being forecasted by the GFS model down to 974 millibars going into Friday afternoon. This is almost unheard of in the United States in the month of March. We do not see this very often, so we are definitely talking about a very intense storm. Now, I just want to point out that not all intense storms are going to bring tornado outbreaks. This particular storm is very strong, but there are some problems with the severe weather setup that I'll point out here in just a moment. But this is what it looks like Friday afternoon. We're talking about some heavy snowfall, more than likely across the northern plains, but again, that could still change as this is about 7 days from now. The Rockies and along the west coast will still be dealing with rain and snowfall, and then we're eventually expecting some degree of severe weather as we go into Friday and or Saturday. I don't know the magnitude of the severe weather event at this point. It's way too hard to tell because we are going to have some big problems, I think, when it comes to moisture and the amount of instability that is available for this particular severe weather event. Despite this being a very strong trough, look how far north this is. I mean, this is extremely far to the north for this time of the year, which means we don't really have a whole lot of warmer weather really yet in the northern plains, Midwest, or the Ohio Valley, which is honestly going to limit the severe weather threat if we do see storms in the Midwest. The other thing I want to point out is that the moisture has to come from the Gulf. That is really far down to the south. So this particular storm is not really in a favorable setup for right now for a significant risk of severe weather. I do think we're going to see some severe storms, and I think that's going to happen mainly from the Midwest back through the Mississippi River Valley on Friday. But again, the magnitude of that is very uncertain, and also we might have some capping down here in the Dixie Alley and as well as into the southern plains that could prevent there being severe weather as well in these areas as we go into Friday night. Now, the forecast gets very tricky as we go into Saturday, and the reason why is because the GFS model actually has this storm system splitting up into two different troughs, which would make this a very complicated setup for Saturday and Sunday. The GFS has a round of showers and thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley and the southeast on Saturday, and also snow continuing in the upper Midwest and the northern plains, and same thing for Sunday and Monday. This would be very rare if we saw something like this, having a 3-day stretch of showers and storms all in the same area, which is why I am hesitant on really forecasting this particular storm system beyond Friday. I think really Friday is getting kind of locked in here that we're going to be dealing with an intense storm in the central northern plains in the Midwest, but Saturday into Sunday is very uncertain and is going to depend a lot on our synoptic setup here across the United States. So we're going to keep you posted with this. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of uncertainty really past Friday night into early Saturday morning, but stay tuned. A lot of stuff is going to be happening, I think, over the next couple of weeks when it comes to storm systems just like this, as we are getting closer now to severe weather season in the southern plains. One of the biggest problems with the severe weather setup as we go into Friday is the amount of moisture that is going to be coming out of the Gulf. The current thinking is that the majority of our moisture that is capable of producing even significant severe weather is mainly going to be in the lower Mississippi River Valley in Arkansas and Louisiana. Here's the thing though, our trough is way up here to the north, and again, there's likely going to be a cap in place down here in the lower Mississippi Valley, which would prevent severe weather from basically occurring. On the flip side, there will be possibility for some showers and thunderstorms over in the Midwest. And again, the dew points are only in the low to mid 50s, which is not great for severe weather. A big lack of buoyancy. This is not a great setup for severe weather. Now, again, I do expect things to change. I am going a little bit more in detail than I usually would for a forecast that is 7 to 8 days out, but I'm just giving you an idea here that there's obviously a lot of uncertainty, and this does not, at least for right now, appear to be a big tornado outbreak. But again, that could change. We'll have to wait and see what happens here over the next several days. Now, let's say this forecast was perfect and everything panned out as we go into Friday. We would be talking about some very high winds across most of the Great Plains and the Midwest. This is awfully similar to what we just saw a couple of days ago across these same areas. So again, the winds could definitely get very high. 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, definitely a possibility. But we are still about 7 to 8 days out from this event happening, so there will be some changes to the forecast. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll keep you posted with the latest on any changes that happen. And then over on the West Coast, we are anticipating a lot of rain as we go into the middle and end of next week. This is mainly from Oregon back into California, where a widespread area will foresee about 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some higher elevations will pick up a lot of snow as well. We could even see some areas as much as 3 to 4 feet of snow in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada. And our temperature roller coaster will continue throughout most of March, as above and below average temperatures will be mixing up basically everywhere in the country. Very typical for a spring-like pattern. But as we go into late next week, we are anticipating a large area of warm air to build across the Great Plains, Midwest, and the Northeast. This could lead to some record-breaking high temperatures, but west of the Rockies, we could also be dealing with some record-breaking low temperatures. So a bit of a mix here across the country as we go into Friday of next week. And then eventually, as we go into the weekend, a shot of cold air is likely back over in the Midwest and as well as the Northern Plains. And the Climate Prediction Center agrees with this forecast. It is literally a divide between the Rockies when it comes to our temperature trends. Below average temperatures are likely next week along the West Coast, and then along the East Coast, above average temperatures are in the forecast. In terms of rain and snow, the majority of it will be happening anywhere in the green. And if you're back over in Texas and Oklahoma, you are the only ones right now that are in a below average category when it comes to rainfall over the next couple of weeks. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And if you want to support our channel, make sure to check out our 1 million subscriber merch at shopmaxvelocity.net. This is out through the rest of March. We have our signed hats, our t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and posters. It's an incredible design. You're supporting both our channel and our designer by picking something up here at shopmaxvelocity.net. It's also the top link in the description below.